For the second straight year, Kyle Larson has won at Watkins Glen. And for the second straight year, he's had some controversy in that race. Last year, he won at Watkins Glen, but he spun out Christopher Bell in the process, making Bell pretty mad to the point like Bell wasn't returning his phone calls. I can't remember the whole situation. It was kind of small, and it never escalated, like the Harvick Elliott thing. So people kind of just forgot about it. But today, Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson have gotten into it once again. Remember, back in February, which was by actually coincidence, Kyle Larson's last Cup victory. It's been since February since Kyle Larson has won a Cup race, and that was at Fontana. Man, that's the longest winless streak he's had at Hendrick Motorsports. So I know it's only 2 seasons, but it seemed like he was winning every other race last year. He had 10 wins and, of course, the championship. So, not winning in Kyle Larson and Hendrick Motorsports just seems so odd. But, of course, that incident happened in February where Larson was battling Logano. Elliot had a big run on the outside. Larson just swerved up, put Elliot in the wall, and it ruined Elliot's day. That was the first incident. And then today, it wasn't as bad. Elliot didn't go 3-4 laps down, finish 30th. But it did cost Elliot the win. Elliot probably had the best race car today. Once Larson caught up to him due to lap traffic and stuff, Elliot was still able to pull away after restarts. When Elliot got the lead on restarts, he was able to pull away. So Elliot was pretty much the fastest car today, led 30, 40-something laps today. But then there were some cautions late in the race. And it didn't get crazy chaotic like the Indianapolis road course, thank God. But in this restart, we saw Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson on the front row. Now, something that we don't usually see at Watkins Glen is people take the outside. Turn 1 is a hard right-handed turn, and usually we see guys take the inside because, you usually want the inside going into a turn. But with how Watkins Glen has developed, there's a lot of runoff area outside of Turn 1, and this isn't F1 where, you can't go off track. There's not track limits in NASCAR. You can use as much of the racetrack as you can, really, as long as you don't cut a corner. So usually what the leaders have been doing, they take the outside and they use up all that lane. In fact, the restart before this one, Chase Elliott chose the outside over Kyle Larson. He got a good enough jump. They were even in Turn 1, but because Elliott had that extra space on the outside to use, he used all of it, and he was able to clear Kyle Larson by Turn 2. Well, on this restart, Elliott got a pretty good start, but Larson got a huge shove from AJ Allmendinger. Allmendinger gave him a great push, and then Larson and Elliott were even, maybe even Larson with a slight edge heading into Turn 1, and Larson locks up the front tires and goes wide, and I'm not talking like, taking the line wide and he's clear. He goes wide and he forces his teammate Chase Elliott wide as well, and because of this, Elliott falls back to 3rd, and then he's under pressure from Logano for 4th, and because of that, Elliott, he gets a little bit loose. Logano gets by him. He's under pressure for 5th, falls back to 6th or 7th, and he ended up rallying back up to 4th, but still, Elliott went from having the best car and a potential win, 5 more playoff points, to finishing 4th with no playoff points. Of course, he did clinch the regular season title today. I don't think he wants to hear that because he seemed pretty upset, but this move did eventually get Kyle Larson the win, and he sweeps the weekend at Watkins Glen. Of course, he won the Xfinity Series race yesterday, and there was controversy in that, but none of Kyle Larson's doing. Byron and Gibbs took each other out. Larson went on to win, whereas today, Larson was a little bit of part of the controversy. Is this as bad as Fontana? No, not at all. In fact, I don't think we'd be talking about it as intensely if it wasn't for Fontana. I don't think that there's like a fierce hatred rivalry there between Elliott and Larson, but 2 top-tier Cup champions, obviously, top of the class and the best equipment in the NASCAR Cup Series. There's going to be some tensions that boil every once in a while. They're competing for the win multiple times. They've done it. They've run 1-2 quite a few times. So it's going to happen. They're going to be racing for the win. Contact's going to happen. Controversy's going to happen. It's bound to happen. So, it's honestly surprising it's taken this long for it to happen, I guess. But Chase Elliott was a little upset, to say the least. He never said, "Oh, screw Kyle Larson. I can't believe that's my teammate. I'm going to wreck him next week." He took the Kyle Busch route. You may be wondering what that means. Remember, Kyle Busch, he gives the best interviews in the NASCAR Cup Series. Everything's great. That's one of the examples where he just says everything's great to every single question. He was asked the week after the fight with Logano, Well, in his NBC interview, he was being asked, like, oh, what did you think of Kyle Larson's move? Was it dirty? Are you mad? How are you guys going to handle this internally at Hendrick Motorsports? What's going to happen? And Chase Elliott just said, congratulations to Kyle Larson. Congratulations to the 5 team. Great to see them back in victory lane. They asked, oh, how are you going to talk about this with Larson at the team meeting with Rick Hendrick? Oh, congratulations to the 5 team. They did great. They won that race. And then, of course, they asked, oh, what did Rick Hendrick have to say about it? Was he upset at Kyle? What was his thought? Congratulations to Rick. Very happy for him. He got another win. It was super sarcastic. It was super funny, too. This was literally a Kyle Busch interview from Chase Elliott. I've never seen a Kyle Busch interview through Chase Elliott. Meanwhile, in Kyle Larson's end, he was apologetic for it. He said he was sorry. He did not want to win that way, especially against a teammate. But, Larson hasn't won since February. They're a little bit behind on the playoff points. Not behind, but, they obviously don't have the advantage they had last year. But, they are in a tight battle for kind of that second to, 6th or 7th range. And that range is kind of not even a huge gap down to the bottom of the grid. Larson only had 16, 17 playoff points entering this race. So a win today was huge for him. It gives him a shot at second in the regular season standings, which is another 10 bonus points. And then, of course, a win is another 5. So he could have just potentially gotten himself 15 playoff points with that win. What do I think of the incident? I think it's just hard racing. Yeah, it's your teammate, but it's a Cup Series win. It's 5 playoff points, trying to get momentum before the playoffs. If that wasn't his teammate, I'd say, cool, great. You didn't wreck him. You didn't put him in the wall or anything. You just ran him a little bit wide. Yeah, there was a little bit of contact, but nothing too dirty, and it was a lockup. It wasn't like Kyle Larson intentionally missed the corner. He locked up. So I don't think there was anything dirty on Larson's end, but the fact that it's a teammate makes it a little bit worse, makes it sting a little bit more for both the drivers, really. But yeah, we've seen inter-team rivalries with Hendrick Motorsports before. Of course, Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon back in 2010. They had their moments of frustration and anger, so hopefully Rick Hendrick can get them together, kind of calm them down if it does escalate into anything more. I don't think it will, and obviously I don't think they would do anything like intentionally wreck each other if it came down to it, just because, that's your team owner's car and you don't want to piss off your team owner. So I don't see anything like that happening, but, maybe a talk could potentially happen, or a venting session. Is that a thing? I don't know. But, yeah, that was probably the big storyline late in the race. The other big storylines, of course, they don't call it Watkins Glen International for no reason. We had a lot of international drivers in the race today. We had Kimi Raikkonen, a former F1 champion, Mike Rockenfeller, a 24-hour Le Mans winner. We had Kyle Tilley. We had Daniel Kvyat. Who else did we have? I mean, we'll go through the finishing results here in a minute, but lots of international drivers in this race. Loris Hezemans, he actually had a pretty good run today. We're going to talk about him in the finishing results. He deserved a much better finish than where he finished. But yes, today's race was quite the interesting race. One of the better Watkins Glen races. I mean, Watkins Glen always puts on a great show. Probably the best road course in NASCAR. Today was amazing. There was rain that postponed the race, or delayed the race, I should say. And, it was a late start, but because it's a road course, they were able to use rain tires. The only thing that was really holding them at first was lightning, but then there was the threat of, standing water on the racetrack. And remember COTA 2021 with the big wrecks. We don't want that happening, especially with the safety of the next-gen car. So I think that was a great call to not run the race with puddles on the track, with standing water, especially with the kind of questions around the next-gen car safety, and then also just kind of, to prevent any big crashes. So I thought that was a good call. I know some people were upset with that, but I really side with NASCAR on that. The fact that they decided to delay the race so that they could clean up that standing water. So yeah, and then after that, it was a strategy race. So we had guys on the wet tires through the first 10 laps, and then around lap 10, maybe a little bit earlier, we saw guys coming in for the slick tires. I think Chris Buescher was one of the first to come in on the slick tires. Chase Briscoe, those two guys, I think it was. And it took them a couple laps, but they started going so much faster, and that's what happens when the track dries up. You put on the slick tires, you're going to run super fast laps. Whereas if you're on the wet tires, you got to get water on them to keep them cold. If not, they get really warm. They wear a lot more, and that's what was happening. We saw guys literally on the inside wall heading into turn one. on the right-hand side of the track, which we don't see a lot at Watkins Glen, which is pretty crazy. It was really weird. Just trying to pick up water, trying to make those wet tires last as long as possible to potentially have a two-stop strategy going to the end of the race if you can make it to lap 17 or 18. Guys like Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson did that. It ended up working for him. But yeah, we saw some guys do that pit stop earlier, and they were able to make up a lot of speed, pick up speed, get a stage win like Chase Briscoe did, get some stage points, and it was really exciting. McDowell, Briscoe, Buscher, I think Reddick was in there. They were having a fantastic battle. It was so fun. Up through the S's, side by side into the bus stop, exchanging positions through the carousel. It was such a fun race. Honestly, there was a lot of fun battles. We saw the regular season champion, Chase Elliott, the guy who's won more races than anyone this year, battle Kimi Raikkonen for a spot in the top 10. Kimi, in his first NASCAR start, was battling Chase Elliott. And it was clean. It was fun. Kimi threw a block on him. It was amazing. Seriously, it was such a fun race. Just those moments like that. The late race restarts, there was no chaos like Indianapolis where people were getting wrecked every 5 seconds. It was pretty clean. Even the Larson thing, it looks so bad, but it was nothing as bad as Indianapolis. So, you know, Larson, it was whatever. Anyways, it was just a really fun race. You had a little bit of strategy in there. You had some great on-track racing. And, of course, you had a little bit of controversy in there just to spice it up one bit. So I loved this race. I really, really did. Speaking of this race, let's look at the race results, shall we? Kyle Larson gets his second win of the season. Of course, as I said, regular season points are very important for him right now. Getting another win, more playoff points are very important for him. I think he's going to be our next championship case. If the standings come out the way I think they're going to come out, I think Larson will be next high. So we'll talk about that more. But Larson, once again, proving that he is a very good road racer when given the equipment. So, you know, he had all those poles at Chip Ganassi Racing. He's now got multiple wins with Hendrick Motorsports. He's looked so good on the road courses. And, you know, he beat some very talented guys to do it. He had to beat Chase Elliott on a restart. He had to hold off A.J. Allmendinger late. You know, had to pass some guys like Michael McDowell. He did a really, really good job today. Even if it was a controversial win, it's still a win. But Kyle Larson, very, very impressive day for him. Was top 3 all day, probably the second or third best car. But, yes, very impressive from Kyle Larson today. Playoff points, that's what you need. Second place, A.J. Allmendinger, obviously not running cut points, but a win would have been great for him. That is what he's going for. He got that win at the Indianapolis road course last year. And, of course, his first win came here at Watkins Glen. So, really good run for him. He spun out really early. I mean, Cindric just absolutely sent him into one. Cindric missed the corner. It's not like he was mad. He just missed it very bad. Allmendinger was a victim, went spinning on like lap 3. Allmendinger comes back for a second place finish. Good result for him. Third place, Joey Logano, pretty good day for him, obviously. They played some strategy cards right. They were able to get up there. Finished third. Really good day for him. I just said the other day, he's kind of an underrated road racer, and a third place today, that shows it. Fourth place, Chase Elliott. This one's got to sting. Another top 5. He clinches the regular season championship, so you get those 15 playoff points guaranteed, and you don't have to worry about it at Daytona. But they lost 5 playoff points in the win, and it was against your teammate, and it was caused by your teammate. So Chase Elliott, obviously mad. Great to see that kind of, I guess, fiery side of him. He's shown it every once in a while when he gets into things like with Kevin Harvick, you know, with Denny Hamlin all those years ago. So Chase Elliott, not happy with a 4th place finish just due to the fact he thinks he should have won. But, yeah. We'll see how he does going into the playoffs. It is another top 5 for him. He does clinch the regular season championship. So overall, a good day for him. 5th place, Daniel Suarez, a solid day from him. Ends up getting himself a top 5. Had a really good day. He was in the top 10 most of the day. Ends up 5th there. 6th place, Michael McDowell led almost 20 laps today. Looked like the best car at the early stages of this race. Him and I think it was Reddick had really pulled away from the field like in the first stage on those wet tires. So McDowell had a really good day today. This might have been, I mean, obviously Daytona's next week, but this was one of his best chances at making the playoffs. He looked like he had one of the best cars, but just with those late race restarts, he got shuffled back a little bit, lost some positions. The chaos of late race restarts, he ends up finishing 6th. Tyler Reddick, his road course winning streak comes to an end. He finishes 7th. He missed the bus stop one time, spun one time, but he still gets a top 10. 8th place, Christopher Bell. As bad as Toyota has been this year, he ends up getting a top 10, a pretty good result. He was up there in the top 5 for a bit, but some strategy helped him out, gets him up in the top 10. 8th place for him. 9th place, Chris Buescher. This was maybe his best shot at a win as well. But, Daytona's a good shot for them as well, just like McDowell. But he was up in the top 5 at times. He was in the top 10 most of the day. Really good day, but they do need a win. Eric Jones sneaks up there for a top 10. Good for him. He needs a win next week at Daytona, though. 11th, Cole Custer, due to some strategy, led some laps, and honestly, a really good result for him. I think he's the highest finishing SHR car. Good for Cole Custer. 12th, Kevin Harvick. His win streak comes in. 13th, Austin Cindric. Quiet day. Didn't do much today other than spin A.J. Allmendinger. 14th, Alex Bowman. 15th, Ricky Stenhouse. 16th, Ty Dillon. 17th, Austin Dillon. 18th, Justin Haley. 19th, Brad Keselowski. 20th, Denny Hamlin. Not going to lie, I kind of forgot Denny Hamlin existed. I don't think they showed him once on TV today. 21st, Ross Chastain. Oh boy, it's almost becoming a weekly thing, guys. Going into the bus stop on a restart, Chastain went over the curb really aggressively, and he got a little airborne, lost control of the car, hit Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon went spinning, and of course, there's 10, 15 cars packed into the bus stop, and Kimi Raikkonen got taken out. So the one-time teammate for Ross Chastain, Kimi Raikkonen, he got Chastain today in a sense. Chastain, it wasn't like blatantly bad or anything, but he just murdered the curb a little bit and also took out his teammate in a sense. So yeah, he ends up 21st. He's gonna need some help next week to get second in the regular season standings. 22nd, William Byron qualified. 4th, had dropped to the rear. And just like Denny Hamlin, kind of forgot he existed today. He did nothing. He was a lap down in like the first stage. I don't know why they were so bad today. 23rd, Martin Truex Jr. He outgains Ryan Blaney in points this week by 1 point. Neither of them scored stage points. Truex beats Blaney by 1 spot. Truex is going to need some help next week. As long as there's not a new winner, the only way he makes the playoffs is by having Blaney wreck or something. Martin Truex Jr. is going to be in desperation mode next week. Ryan Blaney, 24th. As bad as he was today, this is about the best outcome, the fact that Truex was barely ahead of him. 25th, Briscoe. 26th, Ty Gibbs. 27th, Corey LaJoie. 28th, Harrison Burton. 29th, Eric Almirola was horrible today. 30th, Mike Rockenfeller. A top 30 for him in the Spire car. Honestly, not bad. He was up in the top 5 due to some strategy, holding his own, was looking good. Great Cup debut for him. Good for you, Mike. 31st, Joey Hand. Joey Hand was having himself a day. He was up in the top 5 from strategy, yes, but he was holding on to that top 5 spot. And even when he fell out, he was holding 6th to 7th. Then he pits late, and he falls back a bit, and then he wrecked himself. But a Rick Ware racing car was in the top 5 today. He was 3 wide for the lead at one point with Chase Elliott, and I think it was McDowell. So remember that. He was honestly really good all day. As I said yesterday after qualifying, he's honestly made that Rick Ware car do things it has never done before. He puts that thing in the top 20 in qualifying. When he was in the top 10 for a good chunk of the day. Really good run for Joey Hand. 32nd, Kyle Busch. He was in the top 10, and he just wrecked himself. Spun, hit the wall, and it just ruined their day. Bad day for him. 33rd, Loris Hezemans. He was also having a great day. He was up in the top 15 times, up in the top 10 at times due to some strategy, and he was holding on really well. That car is not that great, just like the Rick Ware car, and he was doing more with it than he's ever done or anyone has ever done in that car. He had a great day going. Unfortunately, just like Joey Hand, he kind of wrecked himself and got stuck in the gravel. 34th, Cody Ware. 35th, Bubba Wallace. Did not finish. He had a suspension issue. 36th, Daniel Kvyat. Pain. He had another mechanical failure, just like the Indianapolis road course. Pain for Daniel. Pain. More pain! Kimi Raikkonen, 37th. He was having a great day. He was in the top 20 the whole race that he was in. He drove up to like 20th in the first 5 laps. He was up in the top 20. He made it into the top 10. Yes, it was due to strategy, but he was up to 7th at one point, I think. Was holding on, had a great battle with Chase Elliott. Stayed in the top 10, pitted at the end of stage 2. Then Ross Chastain took him out inadvertently. Project 91, I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. And Kimi said, you know, he didn't sound like he said, no, I'm never coming back to NASCAR. He said maybe. He said maybe. So, great debut for Kimi Raikkonen despite the DNF. It was so fun to see him in the Cup Series. So, hope he can be here a while more. It was fun. It was really fun, Kimi. I hope he can come back. 38th, Todd Gillen. He led some laps today. He was running really fast. Axle broke. He finishes 38th. Like, seriously, he led some laps today. He looked really fast. He was in third behind McDowell and someone else early in the race. Really disappointing. And then 39th, Kyle Tilley. So that is the results from today's race at Watkins Glen. We had some controversy. We had some really good racing. And we had some strategy. I mean, this race was everything. It was like a 9.5 out of 10 for me. Loved this race. Loved everything about it. Also, great to see international drivers in the Cup Series. Great to see Kimi Raikkonen in the Cup Series, a former F1 champion. He was probably the most talked about person in the garage this week. So really fun to see him. Really hope he comes back if he wants to. I really enjoyed seeing him in the Cup Series. But other than that, I'll leave him alone. He knows what he's doing. Get him some ice cream or something. Get him the drink. But other than that, he really did drive a great race today. And I hope those of you who don't normally watch NASCAR really enjoyed watching him and enjoyed the rest of the race, if you did watch the rest of the race. But this has been a really long race recap, I know. I'll wrap it up here, but thanks for watching again. Subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 2K. Yeah, share just so we can get more views and stuff like normal. But it's been a great month for the channel, so thank you again. We're going to continue the championship series tomorrow. Maybe do a Where Do I Stand on the incident between Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott part 2. But other than that, have a great rest of your day.